let's talk about the Ten Commandments. The actual Ten Commandments in Exodus 20 are about 300 words long. You could memorize them exactly and have the exact words in your memory. That would be a good thing to do. But it also helps me to have a brief summary memorized so that I can quickly remember all 10. So here is my 23-word summary. 1 God, no idols, honor his name, honor his day, honor your parents, no murder, no adultery, no stealing, no lying, no coveting. It also helps me to remember that they come in groups. The first two go together as a group, and we will be discussing those two in this lesson. The next three are the honor commands. All three of them tell us to honor something. Then we have two really bad sins, no murder and no adultery. They are bad, and they cause great harm to other people. The next two sins are sometimes viewed by us as little sins, but they are bad too, and they hurt people too, and God hates them too. No stealing and no lying. Finally, the last command is not an action, it's an attitude. It's something that happens in your mind. Not coveting might be the hardest commandment, actually, to keep. So those are the 10 commandments. And now let's talk about the first two. 1 God, no idols. Does that sound like two ways to say the same thing? Worship the true God. Don't worship false gods. That's what I used to think these commandments were, but I don't think that anymore. We will start with the idea of 1 God. This is different from most other world religions, which often believe one of three things. Some people believe in polytheism. Poly means many, and in some religions, most famously Hinduism, there are many different gods. Other people believe in pantheism. Pan refers to everything. In pantheism, everything is God, from the mountains and trees to people and animals. Finally, many primitive cultures believe in animism, the idea that there are good and evil spirits that are behind everything that happens in life. The 10 Commandments rule out all three of these possibilities, and instead, they teach what we call monotheism. Mono means one. There is only one true God. Isaiah 44:6 says, I am the first, and I am the last, and there is no God besides me. You may not be tempted to follow polytheism, or pantheism, or animism, but you can still have other gods. The New Testament gives us some examples of things that can become other gods to us. In Matthew 6:24, Jesus said, no one can serve two masters. You cannot serve God and wealth. Matthew 6:24, for some people, money is their God. In Philippians 3:19, Paul said that some people's God is their stomach, their appetites, things they like to enjoy. That can be another God. In Colossians 3:5, Paul tells us that covetousness is idolatry. So having other gods doesn't mean only that you have an idol in your house or you worship nature. It means that something is more important to you than God is. A god is something you think about all the time, something you want more than anything else. Let me show you some pictures of some things that can become gods for us. For someone, it might be cars. It's what they dream about. It's what they read about. It's what they save their money for. It's what they long for. It's the most important thing to them. For others, it might be something like football. They think about it all week long. Sunday is the highlight of the week for them because that's when they get to watch football. They will miss church to watch football. That is putting another god ahead of the Lord. Or maybe you are thinking, that's not football, this is. This is what really makes me excited. What is it that really makes you excited? Maybe this? Are you always thinking about what people wear? Dreaming of what you wish you could wear? Paying close attention to the latest trends in fashion? Fashion can become a god for some people. Or this. Even great music can become an idol. The thing you live for, the thing you think about all the time, your goal, your dream in life. None of these things are bad in themselves. Cars are okay. Sports is okay. You need to wear clothes. Music is something God gave us to enjoy. But if any of these things become more important to us than God, we have an idol. In other words, another god is anything that is the most important thing to you. Only God can be the most important thing in your life. You cannot have any other god before him. That's the first commandment. Now the second. No idols. That means no other gods, right? Well, yes, idols are often statues of other gods. But not always. That's not all it means. Remember when Moses was on Mount Sinai? And the children of Israel made an idol. They made a golden calf. But when they did that, they were not trying to worship another god. They were trying to worship Jehovah, the Lord. They said, this calf, this is our God that brought us out of Egypt. They made a feast to the Lord. They were trying to worship the true God, but they were doing it the wrong way. Certainly, God doesn't want you to worship a statue of a false god. He doesn't want you to worship a statue of him either. This command is not so much about who you worship. It's about how you worship. Some people wonder, does this mean we should not have any religious art? Is it wrong to make any images of anything in the Bible? Here's a painting that I really like of a scene from the Bible. The Apostle Peter is preaching a sermon at Pentecost. I especially like the family sitting in front of him listening. There is a mother and a daughter and a small baby. It's hard to see clearly in this picture, but the girl and the baby are really cute. This painting by Benjamin West hangs in the War Memorial Chapel at BJU. If you ever get to see it in person, notice the little family sitting there and listening. This is a Bible story. Is it wrong to paint pictures like this? Would it be wrong to have a picture like this in our house or even in our church? Is the Bible prohibiting any kind of religious decoration? We know from the Bible that the answer is no. Because when God gave Moses directions for the tabernacle, he told Moses to make artistic decorations in the tabernacle. For example, on the curtains, Moses was supposed to make images of cherubim or angels. I wonder what those looked like. We have no idea. Down through the centuries, artists have tried to imagine what angels might look like. Here are two of my favorite paintings of angels. I don't think the cherubim in the tabernacle looked like these, but we don't really know. We don't know what those curtains looked like. The point is that God told Moses to decorate the tabernacle with art. So all religious art cannot be bad. The clue to what this commandment means is in the 5th verse. You shall not bow down to them or serve them. If you have some religious art in your house or in your church, and you bow down to it, you worship it, you serve it, that is wrong. Here's a picture of a church with a lot of religious art at the front. I don't know what everyone thinks when they go to this church and look at this art, but I know that many people do bow down to these statues. They pray to them. They worship them. They think that praying to these statues will help them. And God says, no, do not make any images for worship. Most Bible-believing churches today do not have any art in their church auditorium because they don't want anyone to be confused or to make this mistake. The Bible gives us an example of people that started to worship the wrong thing. Do you remember the Bible story when there was a plague, and God told Moses to make a metal statue of a snake, a fiery serpent, the Bible says. Now, this snake statue was not an idol. It was not made for worship, and it was not wrong to make it. God told Moses to make it. But years later, in King Hezekiah's time, the people started to worship the snake statue instead of God. They even burned incense to it. So King Hezekiah had to destroy it. He broke it in pieces. We are not against religious art, but we never want it to become a part of our worship. So we can summarize the first two commandments this way: worship the right God and worship Him in the right way. That's how the 10 Commandments start.